Welcome to 3 Minute Gestalt, unit number 33, Gestalt in the Larger Ecology. So this is a topic that I've put together because I think it's important. It's not within Gestalt, but it's about how Gestalt can be applied in the larger world, because there's applications of Gestalt in terms of working with individuals, working with couples, working with families, working with organizations. People can apply Gestalt in the business world. People can apply Gestalt in the educational field. However, there's a wider world than that, which is a larger social world, a political world, ecological world. And I think Gestalt has a contribution in all these areas. So what I like to do is I like to encourage Gestalt therapists or people interested in Gestalt in thinking in terms of how can these principles of Gestalt be understood and be actioned in terms of transforming the world around us. And there's actually quite a lot. There's some therapies, such as, say, narrative therapy, which try to integrate an understanding of dominant social discourse and encouraging people to find different voices and alternative voices, and doing that within therapy and at the same time challenging and extending ways of being in the world. For instance, definitions of what is it to be a man or a woman, which can tend to box people in. Also, Gestalt has been discussed and applied in terms of ecology and in terms of ecological thinking and in terms of how can we take principles such as awareness or field theory or even dialogue and contact and apply them to the natural world. So whether it be taking people out in a therapeutic context, taking them out into the natural world as a mechanism of healing, or whether it be taking Gestalt and looking at how does it apply to concern about the world. How can we apply Gestalt perhaps on a much wider social level? Irv Polster talks about the idea of life labs and at Gestalt being used in the sense of fostering community, and Fritz Perls was very interested in that. At the end of his life, he went to a place called Lake Cowichan in Canada, and he wanted to establish a community where people live Gestalt and didn't just do it as a therapy or teach it or something, but it was part of everyday life. So these are some of the visions of how Gestalt can be applied in terms of social transformation. Obviously, there's a lot of conflict in our world, and Gestalt, I think, can also play a role in, for instance, bringing together polarities and helping people understand what happens in terms of their polarization, whether it be of political viewpoints or, attitudes towards vaccination. Often people split into divides and there's no real dialogue there. So Gestalt, with our understanding of how to dialogue across differences, how to meet at the boundary of differences, is very well suited to being applied in terms of social programs. For instance, there's been dialogues which have been established in the US around with people who are pro-abortion and anti-abortion, usually in very separate camp, usually very split, usually very acrimonious, but bringing people together to find out how to actually dialogue on these issues. So that's something that I think Gestalt has a very great potential for contribution, and I like to encourage people to think about how they can take these Gestalt principles and benefit wider society.